Yo, check it. I'm about to break down what Trump's true purpose is for getting rid of birthright citizenship, DEI, and requiring federal workers to return to work in person. First, I have to say this. You must understand there are three sides. The left wing, which is no free will. The right wing, which is free will. Then we have humanity for the third option that most people don't even know exists. The left and the right wing is there to hold down humanity. You must also understand that humanity is the quote-unquote original humans, who are the quote-unquote black people around the world. So they use humanity to create another set of humans, a hybrid set, who we call the Israelites, because they was mixed with the blood of the serpents, which are the gods of the Bible. Here in America, the fallen angels of man made it with the human women, creating a race of God humans. So the original humans and the God race of humans has birthrights to this land that we all are on. When the world wars happened, we lost. So obviously they took our land and created a beast system that runs off your Social QV trust, aka your social security number, which is also connected to the Federal Reserve notes for private and public, but they all are debts. So the problem with this Babylonian system is only citizens can participate in the system. And all the people that was here before the takeover are not citizens unless they signed the contract with the state or the government. And they're not on the side of humanity. Remember, the left and the right wing is the government and the states that's controlling humanity. This is why quote-unquote black people get treated differently in everything. Also, the reason why everyone from outside this country have to become a citizen to be on this land in order for them to keep track of you and pay taxes for you being over here. So the original people on this land is not supposed to work or pay bills. Only the citizens. And another thing, a lot of people don't really understand how deep this really is, because you got to think about it. We have a bunch of Europeans that's over here that's considered American because of the birthright citizenship. So this basically means this includes everyone. They're just making you think it's people from Mexico. Now we have DEI, which directly correlates to discrimination and racism against the non-citizens who are the quote-unquote black people. There's a reason it says who will it affect, because I just stated the truth. Because media make you think one thing when really it's another, when everything clearly correlates to each other. So if black people was the original ones here on this land, what does that mean? Every time they give another group a special privilege, right, it puts the black people further down the totem pole. As you can see, immigrants' rights, that's literally everyone else besides black people. Trans justice, it's literally a whole new group they just created to separate black people. Reproductive freedom, again, overall it leaves out black people. But if they ever include black people, it'll most likely be black women, as long as black men is on the very bottom. So it's discriminatory and racist when you make other groups and give them special privileges. Because if everyone's equal, why do you get extra privileges and you're taking them away from a particular group? Even if it means this particular group got to use different words to satisfy other people. That's taking away free speech from that group. But the thing is, I know most people cannot see what's really happening unless you are a black man. And that's the whole point of me making my videos. So y'all can see the truth, make a change, so we all can move forward. Now, as far as Trump forcing government workers to return for in-person work, it's all in order to make sure you're even real. Because clearly the deep state has been using bots, AI, and clones to get their messages out. Either to take the blame for some BS they done did, or to hold positions so no one else can take them. That's why they stopped the hiring also, to know how much people need to be replaced with real people. So Trump is forcing the corrupt government to show their face. He is giving everyone back their free will, which opens the door for us to choose humanity. So I'm gonna attach 2 videos after this, so you can have a deeper understanding on things I just said about the citizenship, also how the way they took over by using their businesses, also on how the way they came over here as citizens to serve the original people that already lived here. That's why it's really called a public service. But then they created private sectors and basically drained everything from the public and placed it in their private, which is usually in the trust. So they basically snaked us, destroyed our families, then started the wars. Yo, so check it. I made this post, right? And it says Trump's mass deportation plan is the rapture. And of course, I got a bunch of hee-hees, ha-has, and comments insulting my intelligence. This shows how you can be waking up, but one post can literally revert you right back into ignorance. just because they cannot comprehend what I'm saying. But stick with me, I'm about to break this down. So let's start off with this. The original term for American was used to describe the indigenous peoples of the Americas, or copper-colored races discovered by Europeans. The term has since come to refer to descendants of Europeans born in America. This proves the quote unquote African Americans was already here, but somehow they came over here and founded us and the land that we was already living on. Then they claimed everything as property. Hence the reason why they started giving everything a name, such as quote unquote African Americans. So they add African in front of our race, all in order to make it seem as though we don't belong here. But everyone else from all over the world can come here, and if they was born here, they can literally consider themselves an American with nothing in front of it. That is colonization, enslaving a race of people and then stealing their identity. I mean, it's already bad enough that they lied and said everything started in Africa, when they already know everything started in the Americas. And clearly, they are moving the goalposts now and saying everything started in Europe. So check it. In John's vision of Christ, and for more context, John is the god of Saturn. On 10, it says he was in the spirit on the Lord's day, meaning outside of time and space, so he was able to see the future. Number 11, describing what he's seen in the future and writing it down and giving to the 7 churches, which is the 7 reptile races that mix with man. Number 13 said he's seen someone like the Son of Man. So I'm sure y'all know how people describe Jesus as the Son of Man, right? But notice it says like. It's the key word here, meaning there's other sons of man. Number 14 says his hair is white as snow. And keep in mind, all races' hair don't turn white as they age, it turns gray. Number 15 says his feet was like bronze, glowing in a furnace. Basically, the sun is shining off of him. But guess what bronze is made out of? It's made out of primarily copper and tin. So back at this, the sons of man is described as the Americans, the indigenous people of the Americas, the quote unquote copper colored races. As I always say, there's the image of man and then there's the image of a dragon. Those two images mix, and that's what started the war. So we are currently in the 4th world, but last world is when the war started, as y'all can see I have labeled up here. That's when the serpents created their own race of humans called the Israelites. The original humans and angels are the quote-unquote black people all around the world. That's why the elites, who are the leaders of the 7 reptile races, created a fraudulent system and psyops to oppress the original humans and angels. They're the ones that have to face judgment, not us, unless you participate in their system on a high level or you fell for one of their psyops at the end using your consent, which is your free will. Just look around at who's running all the businesses. Look at where they're selling, look at what they're selling, and what they're controlling, and how they really feel about quote-unquote black people, in their private lives. So everyone's whole life have been a psyop to go against the image of man, including us, ourselves, because we all see the self-hate all day and every day, and that's the reason why. That's how strong the psyop is. All in order for you to lean toward the image of dragon, which is the underworld, meaning you haven't woken up to any of the damage you caused, or even know right from wrong. People like that will be raptured. I can show them all the proof in the world, but they will still ignore the truth and believe what they want to believe or what they've been taught, because they're just a program. They either have no spirit or lost connection to the spirit. That's why they can't think outside of the program. They are literally a lost soul because they are being controlled, and it's through the soul because they can't control our spirit if you have one. But that's why they work to disconnect you from the spirit so they can control your soul. For instance, people have been brainwashed to think the rapture is a good thing, when it literally means seizure or kidnapping. I mean, think about the famous verse. I know y'all all remember it, like a thief in the night. They are making sure you know exactly what they're talking about, but if you're asleep and you want to infuse the truth, you're not going to see the truth right here. It's still going to be people in the comments telling me that this is false. Now check out the definition of deportation, an act or instance of deporting. Now, do they not describe the rapture as being an instance, the removal from a country or an alien whose presence is unlawful or prejudicial? Now remember earlier, I proved to y'all earlier, the quote-unquote African Americans, who are the indigenous copper-colored people in the Americas, were already here, meaning it's our country. And there's a lot of people here that's doing dirty work that shouldn't even be here because it isn't their home country. But let's dig a little deeper. Prejudicial, harmful to someone or something detrimental. We literally have a judicial system that targets who? The quote-unquote copper-colored people in the Americas. You see, there's a spirit of law that we all have to follow if you have a spirit, because we have free will. Now, legal is a system they use to target the copper-colored people in the Americas to get them and coerce them to break the spirit of law. As y'all can see, for example, it is quote-unquote legal to own a slave, but it isn't moral, which breaks the spirit of law. In turn, the slave might rebel because the spirit of law is being broken, but now he's breaking the spirit of law, but only because of the situation it's put in. So basically, they're doing the same thing right now with all these large companies and any businesses that exhibit discriminatory practices, which is most businesses everywhere in the Americas. Don't act like y'all be going in office buildings and be seeing quote-unquote black people everywhere. You can literally find them all out in the field doing the physical work. And honestly, that creates problems for generations. Again, these people that participate in things like this are the ones that's going to be raptured. They still don't know right from wrong. They even come online acting all spiritual, like they understand, but really just doing it for the bag. They'll get off, then go to their job where they knowingly are oppressing people. So Trump has repeatedly said on day one he will seal the southern border and launch what he calls the quote-unquote the largest deportation program in American history, invoking the Allies Enemies Act of 1798, last used in World War II, which is a clear signal of war, obviously, because like I've always been saying for years, they're going to mix the war, the rapture, the reset, all together so no one truly knows what happened to anyone. I said all that to say this: mass deportation is a nicer, more covert way of saying the rapture. As I shown y'all earlier, it means kidnapping, and it will be all the people around this realm that came together and oppressed other people on their own lands. Now it's up to them to accept the truth, fix their mistakes, and get better in order to move forward, or just revert back into being evil, which is always the easiest way out. It usually comes in the form of gaslighting, by saying things like, it's not about race, we are one, which is totally ignoring the fact of everything we went through for our whole lives for no reason, only because we have a particular bloodline. And if you truly understood, you wouldn't ever make a comment like that. You wouldn't even get mad. But if you don't, you'll be getting upset every time race is brought up by someone that looks like me. Because as I said, the war happened because the image of a dragon mixed with the image of man. We are the image of man. This is why all the other races exist, because of us. But they was mixed with their bloodline of the dragons. So they're able to take you if you love the lie more than the truth. And that's the whole point of all the psyops. So it is about race. Come with us, with the image of man, back to heaven, simple as that. Or follow them, the image of dragon, towards the underworld. The Israelites have the blood of both. That's why you gotta make a choice. And again, why they brainwash everybody to hate people like me. So unless you want to be raptured, you better recognize the truth and accept it, as I've been saying forever. But anyways, y'all know how I keep it. Y'all be guys. Peace. Yo, have y'all seen that video of the older melanated lady basically explaining how they took over? Obviously, a long time ago, we didn't have internet and things like that, right? So we couldn't communicate to our loved ones, you know what I'm saying, just in the next city over. So what they did when they made the police, right, it was supposed to be a quote-unquote public service. Even all the businesses, because this was our land. We allowed them to come to basically help us out and be public servants. Even to this day, it seems as though everything is a service, but they make us pay for it. And that's the issue, because we don't own the quote-unquote money, which is really debt notes that they own. We're not even supposed to be using it. Only the governors are. For instance, let's say if you want to get a nice meal, that was supposed to be a service to us because this is our land. Let's say if I want to go to a car dealership and get a car, that's a service. But again, it's the money system that they took over, so it's not really them serving us. It seems as though they are, but they're really not, because we have to pay for everything to get serviced. And they place everybody here on an equal standing when technically we're below an equal standing for obvious reasons. So basically what she explained was how the way the police was brung in, right? As a quote unquote public service. She said everybody was under the impression that they was arresting everyone that was doing bad, like committing crimes, hurting people, etc. Things like that that's actually breaking the law. She said they didn't realize until it was too late that they was only arresting black people. So after they disarmed and arrest mad black men, guess what they did? They started the wars. They started taking over cities. They started enslaving us. They started erasing the history. Because without the elders, who was here left to tell the history? Besides a few that survived, like this older lady. And it's crazy how the way people act oblivious, like it's still not happening to this day. They're still picking and choosing who they send to jail. You can imagine how many people that was enslaved or killed. Literally, that led to 2 to 3 generations of families to be unstable. Like I be trying to explain to y'all, the real war is the war of the worlds, which is World War I. We are still in the war. I know it's hard for people to accept that, but this is exactly why racism exists. The Bible literally tells us this story, which is his story. It's not our story at all. I always explained that we was here before them. Why do you think we're the only ones that don't have an identity? It's because they stole it and gave it to other people. They designed things in a way so we won't question, why is everything racist? Why is everything about race? Just to get gaslit by every other race. Like they don't even see what's going on. But we all know this shit about to come to an end though. I'm tired of it. I know you tired of it. And anybody else that ain't tired of it, hey, y'all can go to the underworld for all I care, to be honest. Because that's where you belong. Anyways, y'all know how I keep it. Y'all be guys. Hey.